Welcome back, my dear students. In this video, let's take a look on mounting lifecycle. Methods that are called when an instance of a component is being created and inserted into the DOM. We'll go through their order. Constructor is a special function that will be called whenever a new component is created. What are the uses of a constructor? Constructor is used to initialize a state, and also it's used for binding the event handler to the class instance. What you should not do is to cause side effect. Example, never make HTTP request. The second method is a static method. This is the method used when the state of a component depends on changes in probes over time. Let's say you have a component with an initial state of components depend on the probes being passed to the component. In such a scenario, you can use this method to set the state. Note, since this method is static, you cannot call this keyword, meaning you cannot call this .setState in this method. Instead, you should have to return an object. What you should not do is to cause side effect. Example, fetching data from the endpoint. The third method is the render. Is only required method in a class component. In render method, we read probes and states and return JSX, which describe the UI. What you should not do is to change the state or interact with the DOM or make AJAX call. Since it's a render method JSX, which also contains the other children component, right after the parents render method, children component lifecycle method are also executed. We'll see this order of execution very shortly on code. And the last method is component did mount. This method is called once in the whole life cycle of given component, and it's invoked immediately after a component and its all children components have been rendered to the DOM. This is the perfect side to cause side effect. Example, interact with the DOM or perform any AJAX call load data. If you need to load data from a remote endpoint, this is a good place to instantiate the network request. Now, we have a good understanding of the four methods and can and cannot be done in each of the methods. Let's get in the code and see their order of execution. We are going to create one component here, which is class component, and we are going to call it Lifecycle A. You can name the way you like, but I've decided the way. Then we are going to use a snippet RCE to create a class component. We are going to remove this export from here. Now the first method is constructor. So we are going to use a snippet rconst to create it. I will have to initialize this name here within a state. We are not going to use at the moment, but the upcoming lesson we are going to see it. So Here I'm going to console console log, and this is Lifecycle A constructor. Okay, and the second method is a static method. So make sure you start with this key static unless it won't work. So static, it is derived state from probes. It has to take two parameters. Sorry, it should start with get derived, and here make sure it's a caps lock. This is big D. It have to take two parameters. The first one will be probes, and the second one will be state, then object inside it. Then we will log here, and this is Lifecycle or A, and we'll take this one here. Okay, then here we are going to return null. The third method is our render method. We are going to write here Lifecycle A, and we are going to console here, and this is Lifecycle A. This is render, and our last method is component did mount. And this is Lifecycle A component did mount. Okay, so let us include our class in app.js here. So we have Lifecycle. Make sure it has imported it on top. Now let's go back to our browser and see what has happened. So in our browser here, let's go to inspect it because we have console in each stage of our method. Okay, let's go to console. Now we can see here the order for execution. We have the first one is constructor, Lifecycle A constructor, life A get derived state from probes, and Lifecycle A render, and lastly is component did mount. So this will be the last after everything has been rendered to the DOM. Now let us assume we have a child component in the parent component. How the order of execution of these methods will look like. Let's get back to our VS Code. Now from here, I'm going to create another component, and I'll call this one is Lifecycle B.js. Okay, I'll copy everything from Lifecycle A and paste it in Lifecycle B, and we are going to change this Lifecycle right here, and put it B. Okay, we are going to include this Lifecycle B as a child in a component Lifecycle A. So we'll go here and we'll we will include lifecycle be here as a child. Now make sure it has been imported on top here, otherwise it won't work. And let's get back to our browser and see what has been happening. Okay, so let us refresh here. Now we can see here we have lifecycle A constructor, lifecycle A get derived state from props. Then we have lifecycle A, it has been rendered first. After it has been rendered, then what next is the child class. Okay, so it will start again with the same order: lifecycle B constructor, lifecycle B get derived state from props, and lifecycle B render. Then it will execute lifecycle B component did mount, and it will end with the lifecycle A of the parents component. Now, thank you for watching this video. Welcome to the next video where we are going to see the other lifecycle in updating.